there's only one other guy that's based in the Philadelphia area that has better guests than me or right in the room with me, and that's Howard. Howard gets all the guys on. He's had Barkley on. I mean, he's had so many great people on his program. Actually, I get inspired to go. I remember I told you the last time he was on, he had Herm on. I go, let's go get Herm. We had Herm on last week. And so we ended up doing that, and we really appreciate him. And, boy, I'll tell you, I got to say this to you. When Landon Dickerson went down, I gotta put this out there to you, man. I don't know what Howard thought of it, but I thought that was a Bob Lang special out there. I know Bob Lang from his days in San Francisco, and that guy was a toolbox out in San Francisco when he was with the 49ers. And so when I saw this, best case scenario, I'm like, that's written by the Eagles. I know that. I don't know what Howard thought of that, but I will tell you, I can't wait to bring him up, so let's do it now. The legendary WIP man himself, Howard Eskin. Look at his face right now. How you doing, Howard?
Oh, I'm just absolutely sensational. How are you? A toolbox. Hey, what tools are in the toolbox?
Not very many. I mean, listen here, man. Let's start out with that. I mean, Landon Dickerson goes down. I mean, I'll ask you to take a look at the offseason here. I won't put the word Timo to you, but maybe one thing that Howie Roseman did to improve the football team, exterior-wise, when it came to bettering the team with all the losses. Do you think he sat on his hands this offseason?
No, not at all, because he did pick up draft picks, too. He's got a lot of draft picks next year. They have a lot of players that are not under contract for next year, or they have to sign next year. No, he didn't. He did what he had to do, but you can't just keep on signing players for a lot of money. Jalen Carter, I don't remember him being signed. Jordan Davis is on the last year of his contract. He came in the camp in shape, or said he's coming to camp in shape. So that could cost some money. I don't know. It would probably be another year before – it has to be another year before you sign Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean. So, and those players are going to get signed. You can't just go out and get everybody. Hey, listen, do they make mistakes? Sure. Every team makes mistakes. Devin White he didn't play a second with the Eagles last year, but those things happen. You take a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but there's more good than bad. I mean, did he get lucky with Zach Bond? Yeah, there's probably a little luck there because it didn't seem like there was a lot of other teams bidding for him. And Zach Bond was one of the best players on defense and may have been the MVP in the Super Bowl.
No, I get that, Howard, but I'm talking about retooling the guys when you lose Sweat, Milton Williams, C.J. Gardner. Darius Slade looks like it's a nightmare now. They got 7 guys fighting for that cornerback spot. They just made a trade with the Raiders to try to bring a guy in, and he got worked over today in practice. So what I'm saying to you is I agree. I think they're going to be good in 26 and 27, and he's setting the future up. But what about 25?
Okay, well, let's just break this down. The guys you mentioned, they were gone. They were gone before the season was over. Josh Sweat, I think there was concern if you sign him to a contract, is he going to give you everything that he gave you in the last year? And I don't think they've gotten it yet, but they're going to get probably a 3rd round compensatory pick if they haven't gotten it already. All right, Darius Slay is overrated. I mean, it's just give me it's Slay. It's just a nice player for years, but he lost some of that. He doesn't want to get up on a player because he doesn't have the same speed anymore. So I was okay with him because whether you have 7 defensive backs or not, Darius Slay wasn't going to be the best corner on this team at one of the corners. It wasn't going to happen. All right. So and who was the 3rd player that you mentioned?
Milt Williams.
Milt Williams is a loss, but you can't sign everybody. And they think they have people. They think Nolan Smith is going to be a real good edge rusher. So does he replace Milt Williams? I'm not sure, but I think he's got the desire if he stays healthy. So I'm not concerned. Milt Williams is the one that say, okay, they lost a good player. The other guys, you can have them. All right. And what was now I forgot your question.
How about Becton's loss now with the injury to Landon Dickerson there, and you got what seems to be that Tyler Steen's having a good camp, but
Yes.
now again you're talking about and look, you've got the best O-line coach in football here, Howard, with Jeff Stoutland there. But I mean, last year you did have 2,700 rushing yards and one of the greatest rushing performances, counting the postseason of all time. I mean, some of these losses, I'm trying to figure out where did they get better at?
Okay, well, the offensive line, you can't foresee injuries.
No.
And the Eagles always try to either sign or draft offensive and defensive linemen because that's where you win football games. So I get that part of it. Landon Dickerson, I'll tell you the play that's going to hurt, the tush push. Landon Dickerson is the tush push because he's so big and so strong. And a lot of times when Jalen is being pushed or whatever, he's leaning towards Landon Dickerson's side. And that's what they're going to miss. But, and again, I don't know. The Eagles never give you the real. They never give you the real. Other teams. I see other teams. Are they absolutely 100% honest? I think they're honest. They share. Other teams seem to me to share a lot more than the Eagles do. Hey, listen. When they first of all, they put it out because these sources the information is given to them by somebody at the Eagles. It's what they want to put out. And then sources tell me and then it's like, well, don't tell them it was from me, but this is what the story. When they said Landon Dickerson, whoever it is that gave him that, said he's week to week. How can a player 340 pounds, that big, come back? And but I'm not I wasn't playing football. I had a meniscus and I still was told to rehab it for 5 weeks. Now, a player can probably push up that schedule a little bit, but he's big. There's no way he's week to week. There's none.
We had Dr. David Chow on 2 days ago. When the news came out, and he was like this: best case scenario, you're talking about 4-week rehab, and the game's in 3 weeks, he goes, and then you're talking about a guy who's that big, as you just mentioned. Remember this, Howard, he can't do any conditioning. Are you really going to rush him back like that into a Cowboy?
And how much weight is he going to gain?
Yeah, right. How much weight? He's a 325
Crustables all the time. He's eating Crustables all the time. So how much weight? They're 250 calories a piece. That's a lot of calories when you have 10 of them. It's just, but he's not week to week. And that whoever replaces him, as good a job as that may be, as that player may do, he's not Landon Dickerson. He's smart. He's good. He's tough. It's really, it's not funny, but it's funny when you think about it. Almost every game he came limping off the field.
Yeah.
Almost every game. So he always gets banged up. I didn't realize, I guess because of where he's drafted, he did have a couple of surgeries.
He did. He had a couple surgeries, one at Florida State and one at Alabama. If you remember the national title game, they had him come out and do a ceremonial hike. Yeah. And you know what? He had an off-season procedure this year too. I mean, they wouldn't tell you, as you said. You know what aggravates me about the Eagles?
Why do you get on Bob Lang just because he manipulates a lot of the information?
He calls my boss all the time, trying to have me fired.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what control does he have over you? That's not fair. That's just not fair.
And he threatens John McMullen when he's in there too. So, yeah, I mean, he calls my boss all the time.
Well, I know that I'm not going to get into specifics, but I know the routine. Trust me, I know the routine. So I don't believe me. It's hard for me not to say, but I'm not going to.
I'm sorry. I got to tell you that, Howard. I know that you like those guys, but
yeah, but that's not. He's not. well, I'll just say
watch this.
I wouldn't say I'm not hanging a banner for him.
No,
I'll tell you
he called my bosses and basically said that we will never allow anybody on his program, because I got a phone number from Frank Reich for Nick Sirianni, and I was being critical of the Jalen Reagor trade, and he called my bosses up, and they basically said that, and he called NBC Sports, NBC Philly. He called up 2 other entities and said that you're not allowed to put any of the hosts from WIP or anybody on my program because he's critical of the Eagles.
Really?
Yes.
You know what? Oh, that's. Hey, listen, just do your job.
Angelo told me it's a merit badge.
It's a what?
It's a merit badge that, obviously they care. And I'm like, I'm just on a little old
I don't look at it.
show, and you care that much about what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't. It's just.
I know what you went to, Howard. That's why I'm on your side, because I know what you had to battle walking that line and being a guy like you and being a person in that market that built sports talk. I mean, I give you 1,000% credit for being able to maneuver through that, because nowadays with the teams having so much more power than what they did years ago when we were in it, it's becoming almost impossible.
Yeah, but not everybody is like that. And again, I don't want to get into specifics, at least not yet, because it's just. Hey, listen, just try to help people rather than just try to stop them. And did you say anything that wasn't correct?
No.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, what they don't like is that my connections in the NFL, we get coaches and general managers on, come in and corroborate what I'm saying. And what they just don't like is they just don't like my opinions on a particular subject. Because I really didn't think that really Howie was a really great drafter until the Jalen Reagor decision. And I said this about it. I think the Jalen Reagor move actually has helped him so much, because he'll never allow a coach to make a decision again. And he's been better since that Reagor trade. Prior to that, name me a corner they ever drafted that was worth the shit under him, or name me even a safety that he was involved in outside of in the last 20 years since 2000 that they've drafted.
You're talking about Howie?
Yeah, Howie's, but they've gotten better. They've gotten better at edge.
Well, yeah, hey, listen, if you're right 55% of the time in the draft, you're doing a hell of a job.
Agreed.
So, I look at the results. I mean, Howie tries to control things, but in the end,
you're a great organization, Howard.
I'm not going to criticize what he's done, because he's done a really good job.
Listen, no, I say this. If you really want to go back to 2000, look at this, Howard. They have never hired a coach, even crappy Chip Kelly. Nobody's had a losing record. So when it comes to hiring head football coaches, they get it right. And it's taken them 25 years to get to this point where they're getting it right. I think they're doing a great job. But again, I think they're over hypersensitive sometimes. They really have a perception issue with something. I mean, even when, the couple of years ago with you and the Brandon Graham thing, I'm watching that whole thing unfold. Does the owner really have to parachute in?
Yeah, but the owner didn't say anything to him. See, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to Brandon after all that happened. And Brandon's a great guy, and he's really honest with me, and he'll tell me. And that was not the case. Now, were there other people that may have talked to Brandon? Yeah, and he got kind of talked down, and he went in and he apologized to the team and just kind of smoothed it all out. But
it was more IP starting shit with you than it was the team.
They piled on. I shouldn't say they. Certain person piled on. So
yeah, absolutely. So Howard, let me go here with this one.
Yeah, at some point, this is not the time. I mean, they're getting ready for a season. It's important to what they do on the football field. And I don't know how many people care about what happens to you or what happens to me. Right. Or, he's really not nice to some of the media people. Nobody cares about that. And I understand. I shouldn't say nobody. Some people, a lot of people don't. But, it's about the football team. So
Howard, all I ask is don't make my job harder. I don't care if you like me or not. Just don't make my job harder.
Yep. And all you got to do is be fair. And if you check, it's not like sports talk people. I know we're off a little topic a little bit. It's not like sports talk people nowadays who just roll out bullshit and never bother to check anything. That's not do that. And that is I think that's an issue because in a lot of cases, they just throw it out there, whether it's right, not right, they don't know. But if you check those things and you try to find out what's accurate, what's wrong with being correct and fair? And that's where I've had a little bit of a problem.
Absolutely.
But I'm sorry to get off topic here.
Let's tee it back up here again here. I want to ask you about Stoutland. You think Stoutland carries the same weight, or do you think he has the same aura that a Jim Johnson has? Do you think he's built that kind of reputation up right now where you look at him as truly one of the great hires? And if that's the case, that's a Chip Kelly hire, which is psycho to say that's one of the things that guy left behind. He also left Lane Johnson behind. I mean, you're still feeling some of the results of Chip Kelly.
Now I'm going to kind of straighten out some of that. Okay. Jeff Stoutland is a great offensive line coach, and that's what he wants to be. He doesn't want to be a head coach, and Jim Johnson didn't want to be a head coach. But when and who was the other person that you just mentioned?
Well, Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson. He didn't want Lane Johnson. Chip Kelly did not want Lane Johnson. He wanted the linebacker from Oregon who lasted like 3 years and then went in the toilet. Oh, what was his name? I forget his name, but it was a linebacker from Oregon. It was a third pick, and he wanted him.
One of his guys.
And I think it was Miami that took him with the third pick, and then he had to end up with Lane Johnson.
Deion Jordan.
Who was it?
Deion Jordan?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's who it was. It was a linebacker. Yeah, linebacker, edge rusher. That's who he wanted from Oregon. So he didn't want Lane Johnson. But, hey, listen, he ended up with the better player because Lane Johnson was the next pick at number 4. And he was, as it turns out, the right pick.
Absolutely. Howard, with all the moves and all the changes, what are you seeing this year? Do you think this team gets to Santa Clara again? And do you think this team gets there, or do you think there's going to be a bumpy ride this year with this team?
I don't know about a bumpy ride, but I don't know about the other end of the spectrum either. Because when you say, are they going to get Santa Clara's where the Super Bowl is, outside San Francisco, when you think about them going to back-to-back Super Bowls, that is so hard. And they had almost no injuries, where the team that won the Super Bowl in the 2017 season had 5 key injuries, including the quarterback, and still got there. I don't know that most teams can sustain that. Detroit found out what injuries mean to them. I don't know if they would have gotten to the Super Bowl last year. I still think the Eagles are probably a little bit better. But injuries are the biggest. That's the biggest problem. And you can't foresee injuries. So that's one of the things. It is tough to get back because now your schedule is tougher. The teams come after you, and this nonsense. And I like Nick Sirianni because I think he's a really good head coach. But when he says we're not defending champions, what's he going to do when they drop the flag opeing game that says Super Bowl champs? Going to tell his team that's not ours.
No, don't look.
Yeah, don't look. Hey, listen, just say you can't live off of last year. But it's hard for players. They got so much attention this offseason, and it's probably harder for the younger players to deal with that. So can they get back? Absolutely. Will they get back? I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Are they going to be good? Absolutely. So it's tough. It really is tough. And, everybody's thinking, oh, they're going to back-to-back Super Bowls. Well, if that's the case, then they're just going to go to the Super Bowl for the next 4 years. No, that's not the case, but they are a very good football team. And Jalen Hurts, he's got to stay healthy. The offensive line has got to stay healthy. And Landon Dickerson, I don't know how long he'll be out. I would doubt that he's going to start the season playing. So
would you rest him? I suggest this. You don't need him to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
I would not play him the first game.
Yeah, because I look at the first 4
way.
games. You're going to need him in KC and against the Rams and the Bucs and maybe even Denver. The Cowboys are the lesser of those 5 teams, right?
Yes. I mean, I would not play him against the Dallas Cowboys. There's no way. But the other thing that coaches do, and not all coaches, Andy Reid doesn't do it. And I know there's other coaches that play their starters. There's no way the starters are playing on Saturday. Zero. I said zero chance that the starters play. They have the joint practice. So when Nick Sirianni speaks, and he'll speak on Thursday, he'll say, well, we'll see about that, but we got a lot of work in with these joint practices. And that's the way he's going to, but it's not fair to the fans. Forget about, is it the right thing to do for players? Yeah, maybe. But you saw Landon Dick. There's a lot of players. Didn't the Chargers lose a player in practice?
Yes, the kid Slater.
Yeah, and the Raiders lose a player in practice.
Raiders lost the practice too.
Okay, good players. So, and Landon Dickerson was in practice. I don't care if it was the same practice they run. They just happened to run it at their stadium in front of the fans. So you can get hurt in practice. It's a part of football. He gives them a lot of rest, and that's good. But once in a while, when you talked about tackling and Sidney Brown, how's he going to practice tackling when they don't tackle in practice? He plays in a game. Okay, I don't know how many snaps he got in the last game. I like Sidney because he's tough. Now, he makes some mistakes, but he's a tough guy. But how many players can practice tackling? Because you don't practice at all in the preseason, especially when you're not playing the starters.
He hasn't been a good tackler since he got here, and because of what you said, and injuries. Availability plays a lot when it comes to player development too. It's not that I like him. Lovie Smith loved him at Illinois when he was there, and Lovie said the same thing. Here's his deal: he is a great striker. He plays with exceptional energy. But again, when you're playing in space and a Vic Fangio too high, Howard, you got to get guys on the ground. And one of his biggest issues right now is getting and wrapping, putting people on the ground. They were exceptional tacklers last year. Do you not agree? The 22 team wasn't all that hot. The 24 team was exceptional in space and tackling. They were so much better than the 22 team.
Yeah, they really did a much better job. There's no question about it. And I don't know that they played much last year in the preseason. Normally you play in preseason game number 2. You're not going to play in 3. We already know that. He didn't play him in the first game. He's not going to play him in the second game, and they're not going to play in the third game. And with the joint practices, there's really not tackling. You're not supposed to tackle to the ground. So I don't know how you get better in that area without playing in a football game.
So that leads this then, and you're right. And I want to do this, Howard, because I don't want to sound like, oh man, get off my lawn here. Here's the deal here when you do this. You're right. How do you practice fundamentals, and how do you practice blocking even? How do you practice tackling and getting people on the ground? These joint practices, I heard the guys talking today, the coaches and the players, and they're like, well, the only thing we don't practice is tackling. Well, hell, football is hitting and tackling.
Yes.
There's 2 things, and that's the 2 things you do, right? Hitting and tackling. So again, do you believe that with so many changes that they had, that they should be playing more guys this exhibition season? You got 7 different starting guys this year between Becton, the 2 D linemen, a new linebacker, a safety, and a corner, plus the rotation pieces of Oren Burks and Isaiah Rodgers. Don't you think you should be playing more younger players?
I think they should play at least a quarter. In the second game, maybe a quarter and a half. And you can't, if you're scared, get a dog. You can't be scared of injuries. It's part of football, and it can happen, as we've seen in practice. So things happen. Your body, hey, ACL injuries, you've seen them, I've seen them. it's almost never is there contact
Right.
when somebody suffers an ACL injury. It's crazy. So I think they should play a little bit more, but I'm not the coach. He's not the only one. And some coaches play their guys a little bit. Hey, Patrick Mahomes started in the first game. Who's more important to a team than Patrick Mahomes?
And Brady played a ton of exhibition football games when he was in New England. So, but you know what you can't do, Howard? And here's my problem with it. You can't deny the health that they have at the end of a season each year. You know, I mean, they're always healthy. So you got to side on the side that, again, that, you know, hey, they're healthy. They win. They're doing all this. Well, let me ask you a couple last ones here now. Sure. All right. I'm going to play a game with you here.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you.
I love games.
Okay, I'm going to play a game with you here. I want you to.
If I win, do I get a quarter?
Yeah, you get one of them dolls that you had, one of them bobblehead dolls.
All right, here's what I get. I don't know if you can see this, and nobody will know what that is. Let me see nobody will know what that is. That's $1.
It's $1.
It's a Susan B. Anthony dollar.
Holy cow! I love it. All right.
Well, you can still get them, you know, but nobody. If I walk into a store and I say, I'm buying something, I'm saying here, and they'll say, "What's that?"
Hey, let me just tell you this. See, Howard carries Susan B. Anthony dollars. I carry pesos in my wallet. Howard, Dak Prescott. What do you make of him? What do you think? What do you think of Dak Prescott?
You know, I think he's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. He is such a fraud. When he piles up he piles up in a lot of games when the Cowboys are behind against good teams, he'll pile up numbers at the end because he's always passing. He's
9-4 versus the Eagles, you know.
Yeah, but they didn't play anybody for a couple of those games, right? Weren't they games that didn't mean anything?
I'm just throwing a number out at you, Howard.
And how many playoff games has he won?
I'm just throwing games against the Eagles.
Okay, for those stinking Dallas Cowboy fans, the Cowboys will never, that's N-E-V-E-R, because Cowboy fans can't get past 4 letters when they spell something. N-E-V-E-R, that's 5 letters, by the way, Cowboys fans, will never get to a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as the quarterback. Never. How's that? How's that?
Okay, I like it.
Does that answer the question?
I got another one for you here.
All right.
Josh Allen. What do you make of Josh Allen?
I think he's terrific. I don't think it's his fault that they haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. I thought Buffalo and Baltimore were the 2 best teams in the AFC last year, maybe the 2 best teams in football. We'll never know because the Eagles got there against the Kansas City team that clearly wasn't the best team in the AFC. I think Josh Allen handles things really well. He's got a great personality. I like his personality, which helps him handle things. The fact that he runs a lot, if that's the way they're going to win, I think Josh Allen, pretty good pick. What was he, the 9th pick in the draft that year? Yep. Pretty good pick and a really good quarterback. I think Josh Allen is probably in the top 5.
Patrick Mahomes.
He got eaten up by all the attention, I guess. And his offensive line sucked.
It did.
It didn't suck. They were average at best.
Yes.
I think Patrick Mahomes is great because he ad-libs as well or not better than anybody when he's in trouble. And then he throws the ball left-handed. You got to love the way he played the game. But I think last year, they didn't have an offensive line. And I think there was too much of a distraction with all the other stuff going on.
How about this? Let me ask you this about Mahomes here. I see similarities on what and how Randall played. Like if Randall had the old line of today of the Eagles and had the skilled people, not that they had bad skilled people, Howard. I mean, you had Keith Jackson, Keith Byers. There were good football players offensively, but except in the old line, they really didn't have it. And I don't know what the coaching, I can't remember who the OC was at the time, but if you had this talent Don't you think Randall would have won a Super Bowl if they had the talent on this team that he played with?
If he played the way he played in Minnesota, he would have.
Okay.
Otherwise, Buddy Ryan,
Brian
there was
Phillips.
if Buddy Ryan told Randall, hey, if you don't see somebody, just run. So he didn't. There was a guy named Doug Scoville who was not there that long. I believe he passed away. Doug Scoville was great, but Buddy said, hey, listen, if you don't see something, just take off. And that's not good. You're always better. And I don't know if it's John Elway that said it. You're going to get more first downs with 3rd and 9s with passing the football rather than running the football. It's a fact of life. So, but Randall just was told by Buddy, hey, listen, you don't see something, so Randall didn't really go through the progressions as well with the Eagles, where he learned more and was better when he got to Minnesota. And probably they should have gotten that. Was that an NFC championship game
they
when
lost
the guy
to
missed the
Atlanta.
field? Yeah, when they lost it. Yeah, when the guy missed the field goal.
Yeah, they lost to Atlanta there. Do you think right now, I see somebody in our chat here, do you think Jalen Hurts right now, if everything is said and done, you think he's the greatest Eagle quarterback that's ever played in your time covering the team?
Not yet. Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb never won a Super Bowl, but Donovan McNabb had Todd Pinkston and I forget who the other wide receivers. Yeah, Fred X. He had a bunch of different wide receivers, and they just weren't as good talent-wise as this team. But Donovan McNabb, and in the end, Donovan McNabb may not be if Jalen Hurts continues to stay along the same path. He might be the best quarterback, but I don't think you can say after 5 years that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback. I still think it's Donovan McNabb. They won. They didn't win, but they got to five NFC championship games. That's not easy to do. Now the head coach is the best in football, better than Belichick for clearly. But Donovan McNabb, I still think is the best quarterback in Eagles history. However, he may not be when Jalen Hurts' career is over.
Do you think that Nick Sirianni is a better coach than Andy Reid, Philly? Not Andy Reid, KC, Philly. Do you think he's a better coach than Andy Reid?
No. Nope. I do not. I think he's a really good coach. And if you look at coaches, you look at coaches, people in this town will look at Dick Vermeil. It was a good coach, got to a Super Bowl. They'll look at Andy Reid. They didn't want to look at Nick Sirianni. They were ready to fire him after like 4 games.
Last year they were ready to fire him going into the bye.
Yeah, it's just the people are so ridiculous. But I still think Andy Reid's better, but Nick Sirianni's probably number 2, and Dick Vermeil's probably 3.
Where's Doug Peterson?
What's that?
Where's Doug Peterson in that?
You know what? He's probably in the top 5. He's 4, but they won for a lot of reasons. But I think Doug, what was his nickname? Big Balls Doug?
Yeah.
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 He would take chances. He was probably one of the first coaches that started to go for it on 4th down, 4th and short. He was probably one of the first guys.
I think Howard, the greatest moment.
Well, maybe Doug, maybe because they won the Super Bowl, so you give him that. He and Vermeil probably tied for 3rd, but I still think Sirianni's really good, and he's behind Andy Reid.
How about this though, man? That moment in that Super Bowl where it was like this, he's looking like this at all the papers. Foles comes over to him, and he goes, Philly, Philly, and he goes, okay. I mean, I still, as a guy, this was back then 30,000 feet to right now where I'm on top of it. I think that's one of the greatest Super Bowl quarterback moments I've ever seen in a game.
There's no question. I'll tell you, there's a backstory, and I'm going to try to make this quick for your benefit if you want. I had Doug Peterson on my podcast last week.
That's right.
And we did the backstories, and I posted a lot of those comments on my Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that. But there's a backstory. Number one, that wasn't even in his playbook. It was a gadget play. And then it was a gadget play. It
That
wasn't
makes
even
it even greater.
I know it wasn't even in his playbook. And then when Nick came over and mentioned it, that's when he said, "Yeah, it's a great situation." I'm not paraphrasing what he said. You got to listen to it, but he explains the whole thing. Wasn't even in the playbook. And here's another part of the backstory. They didn't even practice that play that week of the Super Bowl. They practiced it before the Minnesota game, which was the NFC Championship game. And he said it was horrible. Trey Burton couldn't complete the pass. Multiple times he threw it into the ground. He threw it over his head. You know when they practiced it the Super Bowl week because he was afraid of probably he didn't come out and say it. Belichick having somebody watch them practice. They were practicing at a college. They practiced it in the ballroom the night before the game. The ballroom at the hotel, a walkthrough of the play because he didn't want to practice it on the practice field.
This is
Now
legend.
think about how great
This
that
is
play
legend.
is with all. That's backstory to the whole play. It's just
So it's like drawing it up in the dirt.
yeah, I know. It's like, how about Philly? Let's do it.
I think that's one of the greatest moments in
I know.
Philadelphia sports history is that there. All right, that's great. I got a shift here for you now. Are you weren't, I don't know. Wait a minute. Maybe that was Angelo because Angelo wasn't really on the Phillies and he wasn't really, but now they got a 5-game lead. And they kind of
Meaningless.
push it,
Meaningless.
up on right now on the Mets right now. Are you buying more of them? I asked Bob Nightingale this question from USA Today. I go, if you had to take the Phillies over the Dodgers in an NLCS, who would you take? Bob Nightingale from USA Today goes, I'd take the Phillies over the Dodgers in a 7-game series right now because of their back end of their bullpen and what they're doing compared to what the Dodgers don't have. Not that it's sensational, but he says the Dodgers right now are just not performing in that bullpen right now.
Well, yeah, they don't have the pitching right now, but the Dodgers were the wrong team to compare. Would you take the Phillies over Milwaukee?
No.
No.
I don't even know those guys. I mean,
they are really good.
They've get this since the All-Star break. You ready for this? They've got 2 11-game win streaks.
It's amazing. And the other thing with the Phillies, their pitching is really good, and that's fine. But they don't put the ball in play. They don't score enough runs. And in the playoffs, pitching's going to be better, and you're not going to hit. If they don't hit home runs, they don't win. Last night, as we speak, it was the game against Cincinnati. They lost 6-1. The one run they scored was a totally meaningless home run in the 9th inning when they're down 6-0. It's just they don't score without home runs. They don't score enough runs. Bryce Harper's hitting about 260.
And you think that's going to catch them, that they look for the big fly in the Souvenir and they don't move the runners over in playoff baseball where you have to have starting pitching and you've got to be great in runners in scoring position. And they're not.
No, they're not. So the Dodgers were a bad comparison. I don't know right now how good San Diego is. That would be an interesting matchup.
They had a 9-game lead on the Dodgers had a 9-game lead on the Padres, and AJ Preller, the general manager, went all in. They pushed their chips in again. The Dodgers made no moves. I love Andrew Friedman. I think he's a great general manager, but boy, man, they have. Would you not say that the Dodgers have been disappointing this year, at least in the regular season? I thought they were going to win 110 games.
Well, remember, they've had a lot of injuries and they're pitching. You got to have some pitching. You got to have 3 starters. And they didn't have that. I still think the Dodgers are a good team. I don't even know if the Dodgers will play the Phillies in the playoffs, but San Diego is going to be really, really interesting. And Milwaukee. And here's the other thing. If the Phillies have to play Milwaukee, the home field will go to Milwaukee. Milwaukee swept the Phillies in Philadelphia. Phillies have 3 games out there. I forget when it's coming up. But if Milwaukee wins one of those games, then they have the tiebreaker for the home field. So that's something that's got to be thought about too. The Phillies just don't score enough runs the conventional way. And I know we're not into conventional ways of playing baseball. And that, I think, is a problem. You got to drive runners in scoring position. You can't strike out. They don't strike out as much, but they still strike out. And I made this point on the last time I did a podcast. I did a show. My lineup does not have Bryce Harper hitting third. That's a bad. Fifth is what I said.
Yeah.
Fifth is what I said.
That's where he should be hitting
hit
right now.
I know, but the world will explode because Bryce Harper won't accept that.
Here's something I'll ask you too. If you're Dombrowski, you bring Schwarber back?
I'll tell you, Schwarber's going to get at least 4 years.
40-plus bombs right now, man. He's hitting a big yard ball.
You got to bring him back. However, you got two guys making $300 million. You got Zach Wheeler making $40 million a year. You're going to have to sign some of the other players who are your young players, not for crazy money. People say, "Well, trade Castellanos." That's not good. It's $20 million. Kyle Schwarber, I think, just talking to people in baseball, is going to get probably close to 40, if not 40 million a year in today's. Well, just think about that. And here's the other thing you got to think about. For at least 4 years,
wow,
can they do that, especially if there's a salary cap after next season?
Which Rob Manfred is kind of pushing.
Yeah, you got to have some kind of cap.
Don't forget this too, Howard. 26. There's going to be a work stoppage, in my opinion, too. So you've got to put all of that into context because the players are not going to go for that salary cap where you have a ceiling and a floor. They're not going for that. Why would I? If I'm an agent and I'm a Major League Baseball agent, why would I want a salary cap?
That's but you gotta make it even for teams like Pittsburgh and
I get it. I understand that's why football is where it is because there's profit sharing.
Yes. You got to create more of an even playing field because teams are not in cities that can generate what Chicago does, what Boston does, what New York does, and what Philadelphia does.
Places like the A's and stuff like that, where they don't have a lot of money. The Rays don't have a lot of money. The Marlins. I mean, you've got to make it so again where everybody's going to be competitive. I mean, last time I talked to you, the Cincinnati Reds and the Pirates when I was a kid, I don't ever remember them sucking.
Okay,
ever.
If the Cincinnati Reds in that little league ball field that they play in, that might be the easiest park to hit home runs in. Maybe Houston might be another one, but Cincinnati, Kyle Schwarber is from the Cincinnati area. Not that makes any difference. If the Reds step up, and I don't think they have a lot of players making a lot of money.
No, they don't.
If they step up, the Reds aren't that far away.
No, they're in third place, and right now they're like, again, they're hanging in there for the wild card right now, and they've been playing some pretty good baseball right now. So I mean, like you said, they're probably 2 or 3 players away, and right now, Howard, they're 2 out in the wild card, so they're pretty close.
Yep. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they make a big run at Schwarber, and obviously he's not going to sign before the end of the season. Otherwise, they would have done it. The numbers are maybe asking for are much larger than the Phillies really want to pay. The Phillies now, it's too late. Schwarber's going to wait till the end of the season, and we'll see and there's going to be some big numbers out there, and whether the Phillies can kind of fit that in, I would trade either Harper or Turner, but you're not going to trade either one of them.
How about this one here? Let me ask you this about Rob Thompson. If he doesn't get that team into at least the NLCS, in your opinion, is there a change going to be made, in your opinion, for the manager?
I would say so. Yeah, because the manager always gets blamed. But I don't know. Who do you hire as a manager? I mean, like, what, is it going to make any difference?
No.
So it's not going to make any difference. I think
it's like the Yankees getting rid of Aaron Boone. Who are you going to put in there? You still got Brian Cashman in there.
Well, but then they've had some injuries too, which have really restricted.
Yeah, but they're not a very good defensive baseball team. They're just not, Howard. I mean, they can't play defense. That might be the worst Yankee defensive baseball team in my entire lifetime. Having been a fan my whole life, I can't believe how poor they just can't field. And if you take Aaron Judge off that team, he's having a great year, 337, 38 bombs. He's probably going to be in a conversation. I still think the guy in Seattle is going to win the MVP.
Oh, he
Cal
should.
Riley.
Yeah, he should.
Have you ever heard of a catcher hitting 60 home runs?
No.
And
He should be the MVP.
He was voted the best defensive player in baseball, and he's a catcher at the most important position in baseball.
Yeah,
and he's going to hit 65 bombs, and his team's tied for first place with the Astros right now.
Yeah, he's really good. Because Aaron Judge missed too much time, so his numbers won't compute to what he has. So I think he's the MVP. And if Aaron Judge didn't get hurt, it would probably be interesting, and it would be New York. And the MVP in the National League is going to be interesting too. If the Phillies finish first, I don't know that Kyle Schwarber won't get a lot of votes. I mean, who else on the Phillies? Who else on the Phillies?
Yeah, but if you think about it, he's up there, right? He's up like 43 or something like that. He's got
42 or 43.
Yeah, he's up there. So I mean, he'd be in that conversation in the National League. Yeah, but I think it's Cal over the American League right now. But I could see Schwarber getting. You're still going to have to overcome Ohtani. You know, Ohtani. He's hit his 43rd bomb last night.
How many? 43.
He's got 43, and he's pitching again, and he's doing a great job for him.
Yeah, he technically really is the MVP, but Schwarber's right in the conversation.
What do you got coming up on the podcast?
Well, tonight I'm on, and it is the 20th anniversary. I don't know if you remember this, of Terrell Owens doing sit-ups in his driveway.
No way! Great pull.
Well, I didn't get Terrell Owens, but.
Great pull in history. I didn't realize that because I love that stuff.
Okay. Brad Childress, who was a head coach at Minnesota, and he was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles for 2 or 3 years. And he was the offensive coordinator. So we're going to talk about that tonight because I'm sure he has vivid memories of that situation. I was in the driveway. It was a joke. And then Drew Rosenhaus. So I know you, and I know him. I don't know him as well as you because you went to the University of Miami, and he was all over everybody down there. So we get along now. But Drew came out there when he asked. Every time he was asked a question, when he came strolling in after a while and doing sit-ups, and you would ask him a question. Next question. T.O. signed a contract, and after 1 year, he didn't get paid enough. You're going to love this. You're going to love this too. T.O. was on CNBC with a guy, the host name was Donnie Deutsch on CNBC. T.O. went on when he got, told to leave camp. T.O. went on and said he needed a new contract to get money to feed his family. Okay. So what I did is I conducted a canned food drive for T.O. and people saying canned food. And I left it for T.O. just so he could feed his family.
You did this on the afternoon show.
He hated me for that.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. Howard's getting him raviolis in a can. Into his
So we're going to talk about the moment. We're going to talk about
I pull up a bag, and this is from Howard Eskin. Canned Chef Boyardee. What?
Hey, listen, whatever it takes, I want to make sure his family is fed.
I got it. Hey, Howard will be watching. Thank you so much for always finding time for me. I so appreciate you. And thank you again for doing this.
All right. Hey, my pleasure. Take care and have a great day.
You got it. The great Howard Eskin. We appreciate him so much, guys. Absolutely always fun catching up. I love talking sports with him, man. I really do. There's very few people on the planet that I would ever sit around and talk sports like that with because I'm with him. I don't believe in partner radio, but that's a guy that I would sit down and do something with like that. Because I believe most of that stuff is jerry-rigged, and that's not really real. It's not genuine. But when you get people like him and Angelo, you know what? And by the way, guys like that get it. It's all about entertainment. And it's entertainment and being right, not being a toolbox. and just throwing BS out there. But I love it, man. Great stuff. And make sure you guys please check out my friend Howard Eskin's podcast. He does such a great job and gets major guys on, and they're really absolutely fabulous. I want to pay some bills here, guys, before we get Marcus Hayes on at the bottom of the hour here. Don't forget our friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America for a reason. That's because they win. Hear me out? They win. They are the #1 injury law firm on the planet. And get this, they don't charge you unless you win. That's how easy it is for them. And you know why they win? Thousands of attorneys from coast to coast make sure that they're defending you and your family against frivolous lawsuits that people will have. They will go in and make sure that they take care of you and your family. Do me a favor, log on to forthepeople.com/big sills or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sills or pound law 529, and do me a favor. You tell them Big Sill sent you.
This is Eric.